calculator. So here are two functions. This is a parabola, quadratic. This is a straight line. And at GCSE we've learnt a whole load of techniques relating to these. So for example, I can complete the square for a quadratic, and that will allow me to tell where the turning point, the minimum of the parabola, will be. I can ask when does it equal 0, which tells me the roots where it crosses the x-axis, and to work out where it equals 0, well, I can solve it either by factorising or by using the formula. And I can also solve the simultaneous equations, work out where these two graphs cross using algebra by, well, in this case, I've got both graphs written as y equals, so I just make one equal to the other and solve it. But the calculator gives you an alternative, so I'm going to press menu, and I'm going to go to graph and press XE, and you should get this screen. If you don't get a screen that says y equals, you just need to go to type and select y equals. But I think this is the default option. If you've got anything typed in there previously, just highlight the one that's typed and press the delete button. So these are hotkeys as always, delete, and that gives you a chance to delete that one. Right, so I'm going to type in these two functions. This button here is the key button. That's how I do x. So it's much easier than on the other calculators where you have to do alpha bracket or something. So x squared plus 4x minus 3, and I just press XE. It doesn't plot it at this point, just says, right, do you want to type in another one? I do. 2x plus 3. And now I want to draw it, so I press the draw button and it plots the two for me. Now, can you see that the button I've just pressed is labelled GT, and that allows you to switch between the graph and the table if you want to go back and edit your functions at all. Now there is a button here that's labelled V window, which allows you to change the scales on your axes, but actually I think it's a lot easier just to use the plus and minus button to zoom in, as well as the cursor. So you can, if you want to, fiddle around with that V window button, but generally you can use the plus and minus and the cursor to zoom around. So let's work out a few things about this parabola firstly. So that's the blue function. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to press my favourite button on the calculator, the GSOLVE button. So when you press GSOLVE, you get a whole load of options up, and you may remember roots of a function are where it crosses the x-axis. So I want to know the coordinates of this point and this point. I would normally do that either graphically by estimating it or by asking when does this equal 0 and solving it. But I can now press root, and it says which graph do you want to do? Do you want to do the curvy one or the straight one? At the moment it's highlighting the curvy one, but if I press down, it goes to the straight one. Now I want to work out the roots of the curvy one, the parabola, so I go back up to that and just press XE while that's flashing, and it calculates the coordinates down here of that root there. Obviously y is 0 because on the x-axis the y value is always 0. And then if I press the right cursor, it works out the coordinates of the other one for me. Back to the GSOLVE button. Let's say I want to work out the coordinates of the turning point. Now, completing the square would tell me that normally, but if I press minimum, it again says which graph do you want, so it's flashing with the yellow one. So I press XE and it gives me those coordinates. Back to GSOLVE. Let's say I want to work out where the two graphs intersect, so I'm going to zoom out briefly. So I think to do that I have to come out of GSOLVE, so I'm going to press exit. And can I then zoom out? I think I need to press exit again. Right, I'm back there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can actually see the intersections. Perhaps zoom. There we go. So GSOLVE again, intersect, and it works out the first intersection, and then the right cursor works out the second intersection. Now, be clear, we still need to use the algebraic techniques to actually work out those values. So the calculator cannot replace those techniques, but what we can do is use it to check that we've got the right answer. So let's just exit from there, back to here. I'm going to delete those two functions, so I go up to the first one, press delete, F1 to confirm, up to the second one, delete, F1 to confirm. I'm now going to type in a third function, x cubed, so there isn't a cubed button on the calculator, so to do x cubed I do x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x. And I just invite you to experiment with that, see if you can use the GSOLVE button to tell you something about it. Okay.